For years, they lived the high life. Exotic cars, exclusive parties, secret bank accounts stretching across the globe. The world saw them as financial geniuses, hedge fund managers, and cryptocurrency pioneers. But behind the glitz was something far more sinister, a billion-dollar fraud ring, invisible to the human eye, until AI exposed it. The mastermind and the 1MDB scandal. Meet Joe Lo, Malaysian financier, billionaire playboy, and mastermind behind one of the biggest financial frauds in history. His scheme? A global money laundering operation that siphoned $4.5 billion from Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund, 1MDB. He was born into wealth, but Joe Lo didn't just inherit fortune. He engineered a global illusion. Born on November 4, 1981 in Penang, Malaysia, Lo Tak Joe grew up in a privileged Chinese-Malaysian family with deep business roots stretching from Guangdong to Thailand. His grandfather built an empire in iron mining and liquor. His father founded a major investment firm. But Joe had bigger ambitions than boardrooms. Educated at elite schools such as Harrow in London and later Wharton at the University of Pennsylvania, he didn't just study finance, he studied people. He cultivated friendships with Middle Eastern royalty, Hollywood producers, and the stepson of Malaysia's prime minister. These connections would become the scaffolding for one of the most audacious financial crimes in modern history. By his early 30s, Joe Lo was throwing $25,000 a night, parties in Las Vegas, funding blockbuster films like The Wolf of Wall Street, and sailing the world on luxury yachts. But behind the glitz was a staggering deception. The alleged siphoning of over $4.5 billion from Malaysia's sovereign wealth fund, 1MDB. Luxury yachts, Hollywood films, diamond-studded jewelry. Lo's empire was built on deception. And for years, no one could see through it. He had no official role in the fund, yet he moved billions through shell companies and offshore accounts with the finesse of a magician. Regulators missed it, auditors missed it, but eventually, intelligent-powered fraud detection systems didn't. How AI helped detect the scam. Lo's operation was sophisticated. He used shell companies, offshore accounts, and complex financial transactions to hide the stolen billions. Traditional auditors couldn't detect it. Regulators remained blind. The scam pumped billions through international banks. But artificial intelligence was watching. Fannie Mae and Palantir Artificial Intelligence Fraud Detection. While Lo's empire grew, financial institutions started adopting AI-driven fraud detection systems. Fannie Mae, the US mortgage giant with over $4.3 trillion in assets, partnered with Palantir Technologies, a defense-grade artificial intelligence firm, to launch an AI-powered crime detection unit. Their mission? To hunt down mortgage fraud with a level of speed and precision that human auditors could never match. Palantir's intelligent tools scans millions of mortgage transactions, looking for anomalies like occupancy fraud, where borrowers falsely claim they live in a property. In early tests, the system flagged fraudulent activity in seconds, cases that previously took investigators months to uncover. This isn't just about catching bad actors, it's about redefining trust in the housing market. With Palantir's partnership and powered by artificial intelligence, Fannie Mae can now detect patterns across vast datasets, safeguarding lenders, homebuyers, and taxpayers from schemes that once slipped through the cracks. Designed to uncover hidden fraud in mortgage lending, the technology scanned millions of transactions, hunting for inconsistencies that human auditors would likely not see. And then, it found something. Here's what it detected, in Joe Lo's case. Unusual transaction patterns. Funds were flowing between entities in inconsistent directions, like capital jumping from investment funds to shell companies, with no clear economic purpose. Synthetic ownership trails. The technology identified layers of shell companies in multiple jurisdictions, often owned by individuals with no financial history. It flagged this as manufactured anonymity. Timing anomalies. Transfers were happening at lightning speed, sometimes routing through 3 or more countries in under 24 hours. This is outside typical banking behavior. Intent mismatches. One entity was flagged for claiming non-profit status while simultaneously routing millions to high-risk luxury sectors, jewelry, real estate, and private jets. The technology flagged this as mismatched intent versus action. Once cross-referenced across multiple banks, the pattern lit up like a neural alarm. Regulators followed the breadcrumbs, and the empire started collapsing. The fallout. The scam crumbles. Global investigations. The US Department of Justice called it the largest kleptocracy case in history. Multiple countries launched probes, freezing assets from Beverly Hills mansions to Monet paintings. Asset seizures. Authorities seized luxury yachts, private jets, jewelry, and even rights to The Wolf of Wall Street, which Lo had financed using stolen funds. Political shockwaves. The scandal toppled Malaysia's ruling party in 2018. Former Prime Minister Najib Razak, Lowe's close associate, was convicted and sentenced to prison. Hollywood fallout. Red Granite Pictures, the studio behind The Wolf of Wall Street, paid $60 million to settle claims it was funded with one MDB money. Artificial intelligence's role. As AI systems like Palantir's flagged cross-border anomalies, banks panicked, regulators pounced, and the FBI began monitoring encrypted files. The illusion shattered. Global banks began backtracking their Know Your Customer (KYC) protocols. Many who had processed Lowe's transactions without raising alarms were fined or pulled into investigations. The United States Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC), Malaysian authorities, and Interpol coordinated in rare unity. Lowe's assets, ranging from a $250 million yacht to rare art collections, were seized or auctioned. Geopolitical tensions increased due to allegations surfaced that certain jurisdictions may have shielded Lowe. Countries like China and regions like Macau were diplomatically pressured to aid in locating him. Joe Lowe's current status. He remains a fugitive. Despite a confidential settlement with the US DOJ to return some assets, Malaysia continues to pursue him with Interpol red notices and international arrest warrants. His exact location? Still a mystery. Some reports suggest he's hiding in Macau under unofficial protection, while others point to Myanmar, shielded by military elites. Wherever he is, he's living in the shadows. His passports revoked, his empire dismantled, and his name synonymous with modern financial deception. The new war: artificial intelligence versus deception. This wasn't just about one fraud ring. AI was now at the front lines in the war against deception. From banking scams to deepfake technology. Let's take a deeper look. The technology began as a silent observer. Systems like Palantir's were trained to spot financial anomalies, like in the Joe Lowe case. They sifted through millions of transactions, detecting patterns no human could see. This ushered in a new era of algorithmic accountability, where fraud rings, shell companies, and synthetic identities were exposed in seconds. But then came the twist. The same intelligence that exposed deception also became a tool for it. Enter deepfakes, synthetic media, and AI-generated scams. Introducing Bogus Bazaar, an AI-powered e-commerce fraud ring that exploded onto the scene around 2021. At its peak, it operated a staggering 75,000 fake online storefronts, all designed to look like legitimate shops selling popular goods. Think sneakers, electronics, and apparel at prices too good to be true. Here's how it worked. The fraudsters, primarily based in China, used WordPress and e-commerce plugins like WooCommerce to mass-produce fake shops. These sites had polished branding, fake reviews, and even functioning checkout systems. Victims, mostly in the US, Europe, and Australia, would place orders and enter their credit card info. Sometimes they received nothing. Other times they got cheap knockoffs. But the real prize for the scammers was the payment data, which they harvested and resold on the dark web. The operation, Fraud as a Service, ran like a franchise. A core team built and maintained the infrastructure, while affiliates paid to launch and manage individual scam sites. This decentralized model made it incredibly hard to shut down. The scam was so sophisticated that even fraud detection systems struggled to keep up. The criminals rotated domains, used expired URLs with good reputations, and rapidly replaced takedowns with new sites. By 2024, over 850,000 victims had been scammed, and the estimated damage topped $50 million. And the worst part? The operation is still evolving, automated, decentralized, and disturbingly resilient. In 2025, during the Iran-Israel conflict, fake war footage, some created with Google's VO, flooded social media, showing missile strikes that never happened. These weren't crude fakes. They were photorealistic, emotionally charged, and designed to manipulate public perception. The counteroffensive. Firms like GetReal Security and BitMind AI are now deploying artificial intelligence to detect the presence of artificial intelligence. They analyze metadata, pixel inconsistencies, and behavioral patterns to flag synthetic content. But it's a cat and mouse game. As detection improves, so does deception. The future of artificial intelligence and the truth. Joe Lowe remains a fugitive. His billion-dollar deception was exposed, but fraudsters continue to evolve. Artificial intelligence brought him down, but deception never remains the same. This isn't just a fraud or tech story, it's a societal reckoning. The question isn't whether the technology can detect lies. It's whether it can keep up with the lies it helps create. The stakes: democracies, AI-generated disinformation, like hyper-realistic deepfakes and fake war footage, can manipulate public opinion at scale. Elections can be swayed. Protests can be fabricated or purchased. Financial systems are increasingly under siege from synthetic identities and bot-driven trickery. Fraud rings like Bogus Bazaar and the Joe Low 1 MDB scandal show how artificial intelligence can both exploit and police financial systems. If bad actors gain the upper hand, global markets become casinos of deceit. However, if the defenders win, we get cleaner, fairer systems faster than ever before. Lastly, public trust is eroding as people struggle to distinguish real from fake. From e-commerce scams to fake celebrity endorsements, artificial intelligence can convincingly mimic humans, voices, and content. In a world overflowing with data, trust will no longer be given freely. We are on track to reach a point where every image, video, and voice requires verification. Truth becomes a premium product, and authenticity the ultimate trait. Today's fraud rings wear digital masks. Tomorrow's might wear your beautiful face. The real question isn't how powerful the technology will become, but who controls it and whether they choose to protect the truth or profit from the lie. If you enjoy hearing the truth, like the video and hit subscribe for more stories where policy, design, and deployment meet. In the comments, tell us, if you could control the AI mentioned in the video, would you protect the truth or profit from the lie? Thanks for watching. Stay blessed, stay curious, and keep searching for the truth.